Deep in the pitch-black cave, the diver suddenly came across a floating corpse. Even more chilling, it seemed there was another not far away. As he cautiously approached, the corpse suddenly lunged at him. Terrified, the diver struggled desperately to retreat. This is the heart-stopping cave diving incident in Spain's Acton Cave. Acton Cave is located on the Cap Norfiu coast in the Catalonia region of Spain. The cave entrance lies about 8 to 10 meters below the water surface. Within the first 45 meters, the gentle passage has been officially explored and is open to the public. The water here is crystal clear, and the walls are covered with stalactites. Between 20 and 30 meters into the cave, a large number of lobsters dwell, earning it the nickname Lobster Cave and making it a popular spot for recreational diving. However, beyond 45 meters lies an unexplored, untouched region. On the morning of July 19, 2014, at 10 a.m., Ricard Lopez, Dionisio Martinez, and Javier Montaigne completed their equipment checks and entered the water for an exploration, while another companion stayed on the boat to provide support. It's important to note that none of the three had any cave diving certification. They only held basic open water certificates and had no experience in cave diving. At first, the three reached the officially open and safe section without issue. The water was crystal clear, and the textures of the rock walls were clearly visible. They swam slowly along the passage, reaching the 30-meter depth safety threshold of the cave. Beyond 45 meters lay an unexplored, unknown region that no human had ever ventured into. At this point, Javier gestured to his companions that they should stop. However, Ricard and Dionisio wanted to push forward, challenging the unknown depths. Not willing to risk it, Javier informed them that he would wait at this point for 20 minutes. If they did not return within that time, he would retreat along the same route. Ricard and Dionisio confidently responded with an okay gesture and turned toward the narrow, pitch-black, unknown passage. As their fins stirred up thick sediment, visibility instantly vanished. Complete darkness. The sudden situation threw the two into immediate panic. Their breathing accelerated rapidly, and their air supply depleted quickly. The passage narrowed sharply, with the tightest section only 80 centimeters wide, just enough for a single person to pass sideways. In their panic, they struggled forward with extreme difficulty. They tried to turn back but could not determine the direction, as no guideline had been laid. From the safe zone, Javier saw the cloud of stirred-up silt and instantly realized that the two were in danger. Yet he dared not enter recklessly and had no choice but to return and alert authorities. Deep inside the cave, Ricard and Dionisio were in complete despair. In the darkness, they had no choice but to swim by feel, repeatedly bumping into sharp rock walls, their wetsuits torn in multiple places. With all their strength, they finally squeezed through a narrow rock crevice and unexpectedly discovered a huge underwater chamber ahead, topped by an air pocket that reached the water's surface. Exhausted, they surfaced into the chamber and eagerly removed their regulators, gulping the air inside. The air pocket measured 7.2 meters long, 4.1 meters wide, and averaged 1.2 meters in height, with a total air volume of about 35 cubic meters. Under normal breathing conditions, it was enough to support 2 adults for over 24 hours. They believed they had found a refuge and even took selfies to commemorate the moment, but they completely overlooked a deadly truth. The chamber was a completely enclosed space. Air did not circulate. Every breath consumed oxygen and released carbon dioxide, and the lethal risk from accumulating CO2 far exceeded the risk of oxygen depletion alone. As the two continued to breathe, CO2 levels in the chamber steadily rose while oxygen levels fell. 63-year-old Ricard experienced rapid CO2 buildup in his body. 7 hours later, the concentration surpassed lethal thresholds, and he completely lost consciousness, his body slowly sinking. Dionisio desperately tried to pull him back, but Ricard sank again. Dionisio once more managed to drag him to the surface, but with Ricard's body and diving gear weighing over 80 kilograms, it was impossible for him alone to sustain the effort. Meanwhile, a professional rescue team arrived at the site. They slowly advanced along the passage, laying safety guideline ropes as they went. However, at 42 meters, they found that the silt inside the cave was still suspended, reducing visibility to almost zero. It was impossible to determine the direction of the passage ahead. Pushing forward blindly would have put the rescuers themselves in danger. To avoid casualties, the first rescue attempt was forced to be aborted. The next morning, after a night of sediment settling, visibility in the cave gradually improved. The rescue team officially descended into the cave, advancing steadily along the guideline ropes toward the depths. About an hour later, they successfully passed through the narrow rock crevice and reached the open area at the end of the cave. Upon surfacing, they discovered the enclosed air pocket above, and Ricard, lifeless, floating in the water. Not far away, Dionisio was huddled against the rock wall. Having been trapped in the sealed air pocket for over 24 hours, he was severely hypothermic. High levels of carbon dioxide had caused mental disorientation and hallucinations, and he reacted violently to the sudden presence of the rescuers. Dionisio not only refused to leave the air pocket, but even attempted to attack the approaching rescue personnel, completely resisting their efforts. To prevent any accidents, the rescuers immediately suspended the operation and reported the situation to the command center. The rescue headquarters urgently coordinated for a trusted friend to arrive on site. Through patient persuasion and careful reassurance, Denisio gradually calmed down and began cooperating with the rescue team. By 3 p.m. that afternoon, he was successfully brought to the surface and immediately transported to a hospital intensive care unit for emergency treatment. On the second day, Ricard's body was successfully recovered. The examination report indicated that the direct cause of his death was acute hypercapnia, carbon dioxide poisoning. In response to public criticism accusing Denisio of abandoning his companion, officials issued a clear clarification. They examined Denisio's dive computer and confirmed that he had made 2 rescue attempts. There was no evidence of intentional harm toward his partner. In that desperate environment, he had already done everything he could. This incident serves as a stark reminder. We must always remain cautious in unknown territories. Never take unnecessary risks, or the consequences may be irreversible.